Today we are going to talk about meaningful coincidences and synchronicities, and how they may be more than just happenstance. A coincidence is an occurrence of events that happen at the same time by total accident. For instance, you and someone you once worked with both visit the Grand Canyon on the same day, but you didn't plan it that way or even know about the other person's plans in advance. Or you found something you lost long ago in an unexpected place at an unexpected time. Are those mere coincidences or messages or signs from a higher source? What about when you see a certain repeating number at random, like the number 1111? Or you wake up with an old song in your head, and when you turn on the radio later, that song plays. That's known as a synchronicity. Is it completely random, or is this a sign from the universe? Is there an important message hidden in these coincidences and synchronicities? This is the topic of our discussion today, so stay tuned to episode 8 of season 1. Hello, kindred spirits. Welcome to the Magical Mystical Divinations podcast. I'm your host, Southern Mystic Tama P, creator of mysticdivinations.com. That's mystic with a K, by the way. I invite you into my sacred space located in the heart of East Tennessee, where I will share with you topics on inner magic, mystical insight, navigating spirituality, and more importantly, how to use divination to enhance and improve your daily life. So grab your favorite drink and hang out with me for a spell for lighthearted insight, tips and tidbits, a lot of wisdom as we connect on a higher level. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 8, titled Meaningful Coincidences and Synchronicities. And we're going to discuss why these concurrences may have a divine meaning or message to help you discover your true purpose, or help you to navigate life's tasks and trials. Let's first define coincidence. It is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. As an example, an old friend from school whom you haven't seen in years comes into your life the day after you are looking at their pictures in the school's yearbook. Is that a coincidence or something more? Sometimes it can be difficult to determine if it's a mere coincidence or an actual sign from the universe or an extrasensory capability. Another example is when a certain number pops up everywhere you go. Is this also a coincidence or a synchronicity? The definition of synchronicity is the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. So the discernible causal connection is the key to understanding the difference between coincidence or something a lot more powerful than that. Many people perceive spiritual meaning in synchronistic events, such as repeating numbers, unexpected encounters, or dreams. Some believe that synchronicity is a sign from the universe or the divine, guiding us on our spiritual path and helping us to align with our true purpose. I certainly believe that when we ask God or the universe to show us a sign, we can't ignore when the signs appear. We can't dismiss these signs as coincidence when we have asked for a message. This is when we need to evaluate what is actually happening and determine if it's a true message or a true link to higher awareness. Psychiatrist Carl Jung had a term for meaningful coincidences, using the term synchronicity. Jung believed synchronicities were evidence of a unifying consciousness at play in the universe, creating physical manifestations of what's happening in our psyche. Many years ago, I started recognizing patterns because our brains are wired to recognize patterns. What I discovered was that when I seek answers and guidance from the divine or validation that I am on the right path spiritually, certain numbers will appear at random, either on license plates or a clock or the odometer in my vehicle. Or I will find a feather or a rock in a unique location. Because for me, my mind gravitates towards nature, so a lot of the time the universe will answer with something I would naturally recognize and find interesting, but it will be in an odd location or when least expected so that it grabs my attention. As for repeating numbers, there is a 3-digit number which holds a special meaning for me and my children. And that number will appear at random and often enough that I will finally pause and reflect on what is happening. In a spiritual context, you can think of synchronicities as your spirit guides offering to help you along your spiritual path, pushing you towards a specific direction. Synchronicities are signals that are trying to get your attention to pause, reflect, and think deeply and sincerely about a situation that's been at the top of your mind. It's imperative that we recognize such meaningful coincidences and become a sleuth or detective and search out if there is a plausible connection to the events happening. or if there could be a message involved, or a special psychic awareness. If you are very intuitive, because these types of events can also be connected to our extrasensory perceptions, which, if you recall, we discussed in episode 5, titled, Do You Have a Sixth Sense? So sometimes these synchronicities or meaningful coincidences could be further validation that you do have an incredibly powerful sixth sense. Many times I can talk about someone from my distant past whom I haven't seen in years, and they will suddenly show up in my life in some form or other, as mentioned at the beginning of this podcast. Being from an Appalachian family, we would call that sort of coincidence conjuring. Now, let me tell you, the term conjuring is used by people living in southern Appalachia, which that area involves the rural areas of North Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Alabama, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. It describes a practice of folk healing done by members of remote communities. It does not relate to any type of demonic or evil activity, as has been portrayed by several motion pictures that use the same term. That when I use the term conjuring, it's a very generic term, casually used for well-meaning spiritual healing that has been passed down through generations for hundreds of years. Oftentimes, when a person thinks of someone they haven't seen or heard from in ages, the Appalachian folk believe that person is in need or has been thinking about them. And so when we speak of them in the context of wondering what is wrong or what may be happening in their lives or where they may be at in this world, then the person randomly appears, we believe we conjured that person. Anyway, I believe a better term to use in this podcast would be manifesting that person. The same with manifesting the answers to prayer through belief and ritual. Manifesting guidance from our divine or our ancestors. And that manifestation can appear as synchronicities, or some would call it meaningful coincidences. Sometimes these coincidences can include when parts of a dream come true. No doubt that when this happens, it can produce an eerie feeling, almost making it easier to pass it off as a coincidence. There are many people who will find this sort of coincidence a little jarring or unsettling. Others will welcome such insight coming from dreams. This idea is called dream synchronicity, which is the idea that dreams are not isolated experiences, but are connected to other people and connected to the universe. Most definitely, we can all agree that dreams are rooted in our subconscious, and dreams provide an access to random images stored in our memory. But when parts of certain dreams come true, how do you explain that? How many of you said or thought coincidence? But what if you have recurring dreams that keep coming true? Or premonitions, which are vivid thoughts, feelings, or images while we are awake, and these premonitions come true? Well, if that's the case, it may be time to stop and reflect on what's happening and discern if there is an important message connected to the dream or the premonitions. Some believe that certain recurring dream themes can provide insights into your inner thoughts and emotions. So at the very minimum, we owe it to ourselves to give credence to the term meaningful coincidences. Also, for many of us, there is that moment of sudden clarity when we know what's about to happen, and it does happen. Again, we discussed this in episode 5, Do You Have a Sixth Sense? Sensation often arises when your subconscious has processed information before your conscious mind catches up. It's like a light bulb moment when everything falls into place. Mindfulness training and meditation can help you tap into this aspect of your subconscious, allowing you to become more in tune with yourself and your inner wisdom. While your subconscious can provide valuable insights, it's essential to maintain a healthy dose of skepticism. Your subconscious thoughts and feelings are shaped by your unique experiences and knowledge. What applies to one situation may not hold true for another. Therefore, it's crucial to listen to your subconscious while also critically evaluating its guidance. Because sometimes a sign really is a sign to move in a particular direction, and sometimes it's our own bias, seeing what parts of ourselves that we might be desperate to see. Discernment is the difference between intuition and delusion. What do you do the next time you see repeating numbers over and over? Well, by all means, pause and give thanks to the universe, especially if you have asked for guidance and had a special prayer or request. Look up what the repeating numbers mean spiritually. I love studying numerology. After you have looked up the meaning of the numbers, did it resonate with what you were trying to navigate? If so, this may be your message. Or when you bump into that person you were thinking about but haven't heard from in years, how do you determine the meaning behind that? Well, maybe you both needed a reminder of something that happened in the past and was supposed to be a life lesson. Or maybe this opportunity provided a sense of comfort and well-being for you both. Or a chance at mending or healing or forgiving. That could be the entire purpose of the chance meeting, but it was a meaningful coincidence. It had purpose. While I warn against using these synchronicities to make every decision, I do encourage you to look at them as a possible connection to the universe, an affirmation that you are on the right path to spiritual enlightenment. Such synchronicities in daily life can give you a sense of inner peace and help you recognize and explore unexpected opportunities. Meaningful coincidences can promote a feeling of oneness. Synchronicity can feel like a personalized message. It seems as if the universe has tailored those occurrences specifically for us, even though they may be rooted in chance. Accept with gratefulness the moments when these things in your life seem to be falling into place just at the right time. Always express your gratitude. Have you ever been reading something and a word or phrase jumps out at you? This can even happen when you are listening to a song, and this word or phrase seems to carry a message just for you, or it just fits at the right time. This can also be a form of synchronicity, especially if it keeps happening. What does it hurt to pause and reflect for a moment and register the message, and maybe even heed the advice? As long as it's not going to harm anyone or cause harm to yourself, giving a little thought to the message might help you make an important decision or avoid a certain person or event that could have a negative impact. So I encourage you to pause and reflect. When things keep happening without logical explanation, explore all possibilities and rule out cause and effect. Then, when you are left with the knowledge that, hey, this seems to be happening for a reason, and it does align with a prayer or request for guidance, then give proper time to reflect on it. Use your intuition and listen to your gut feeling when you see repeating numbers or phrases or experience meaningful coincidences. And most importantly, believe and trust in yourself and a higher power, and know that you are a spiritual being here for a higher purpose. Synchronicity can also provide a sense of purpose and a meaning to life. When we experience meaningful coincidences, we are reminded that there is a greater plan at work and that we are part of something larger than ourselves. In uncertain times, synchronicity can provide a sense of connectedness. Connectedness and belonging can improve resilience and overall mental health. If you would like more messages and signs to be delivered from the universe, ask for these signs and ask directly for them to appear to you as repeating numbers or messages from dreams or phrases that repeatedly appear. And ask this while meditating, because meditation can allow synchronicity to come to our awareness. While I was researching for this episode, I found an interesting article in Psychology Today titled Synchronicities, Sure Signs You Are on the Right Path. It was written in December of 2017. Look it up, because it provides a perfect example of how you can ask for a message and how you might receive the answer. It also mentions how when you start receiving these little cosmic messages and begin to understand them and work with them, you will start to see them everywhere. Let me assure you this is incredibly true, and it becomes a part of our inner magic, which was the topic of episode 3 of season 1 of my podcast. The psychiatrist I mentioned earlier, Carl Jung believed that synchronicities mirror deep psychological processes, carry messages the way dreams do, and take on meaning and provide guidance to the degree they correspond to emotional states and inner experiences. With that in mind, what are your thoughts on meaningful coincidences and synchronicities? Feel free to reach out to me by commenting on this podcast, and please do subscribe and share with your friends if you are enjoying the podcast. Also, join me on my social platforms and comment there and share experiences. You can find Mystic Divinations on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, be sure to check out my blog, the Higher Awareness blog that's on my Mystic Divinations website, where there I share a lot of additional information on many of the subjects that are a part of my podcast and will become a part of my podcast. As I've mentioned before, I have a lifetime since I was 12 years old, and well, I'm in the crone phase of my life. I have a lifetime of experience and knowledge. I am learning every day, and I hope to learn from you as you learn from me, because we're sharing wonderful, wonderful content with each other. So please feel free to speak up. Please feel free to reach out. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, because I've certainly enjoyed creating it. It's been a Mystic Divinations podcast. Thank you for joining me. Please be sure to comment, share, and subscribe. Have a blessed day.